Hello, everyone. My name is Felice Hightower Britt, and I'm also known as Real Talk with Felice. But if you didn't know, I'm also the Be Big coach. My credentials are simply that I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor who enjoys imparting information with those about mental health because I am an advocate for eradicating the stigma around mental health for many reasons, which I won't go into today. But today I wanted to talk to you about the mental health of top performing athletes. And the reason I wanted to do that is because did you not see that Super Bowl last night? Now, I'm not a huge sports person. I personally enjoy and love tennis and don't know what I'm going to do that Serena Williams, the GOAT, has retired. But I do watch a good football game or two with my husband. And last night was incredible. I mean, both sides did really well. I was personally rooting for Philadelphia because I'm a Northerner. And, I wanted to support the Northerners. So I was rooting for Philly, but they both did extremely well. And I'm also proud that that Super Bowl made history by having two Black quarterbacks for the first time in Super Bowl history. And they both did very well. I hope that this opens up the door and opportunity for more athletes of color to get leadership positions within the NFL. So I hope that happens as well. But I wanted to talk about this as well because athletes experience mental health disorders relative to the general population, just like everybody else. I mean, we've all got athletes in our families. And so they're real people, even though they're operating in their gifts. And they can experience anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and substance use and abuse and overall just extreme stress. Many of our athletes grew up in varied households where they may have also experienced or witnessed trauma, which also can contribute to their mental illness. So I wanted to point this out and talk about it because it's something that I think is happening more and more in their world. But with the challenges, there's also some really great opportunities for us to engage in this conversation because it could also benefit us as well. But I'm going to go off on a little tangent because as I think about the Super Bowl, um, I have to say this just to be honest, is that I really, really enjoyed and was looking forward to Cheryl Lee Ralph and Rihanna. I mean, they knocked it out the box. Don't you think? Like that was Black girl magic personified. I was thoroughly, thoroughly impressed with how stunning they were and how they owned their particular stages. And they were comfortably commanding the audience. And I mean, that red outfit, and I mean, I appreciate red as a color. I'm a pink girl if you can't tell, but Rihanna's red outfit off the chain. I mean, and the way that it kind of cascaded down and became this huge, huge cape, right? Like Superwoman cape that just surrounded and engulfed her and enhanced her natural beauty. I mean, Rihanna did a wonderful job. Cheryl Lee Ralph, wonderful, phenomenal job, and just so proud of them. And then the Super Bowl commercials. Now, I've had some Super Bowl years where the commercials were a little bit better, but my all-time favorites was Ben and Jen. Now, I wasn't expecting that, but when I saw Ben, Dunkin' Donuts, giving out donuts to everybody and coffee. Now, Dunkin' Donuts, I grew up with Dunkin' Donuts because, like I said, I'm a Northerner. So it was just so funny to see. And then the part where one of the guys, he asked one of the guys, "Do you recognize me?" And the guy was like, no. But what's hilarious was when Jim pulled up and was like, "What? What are you doing here? Is this where you go when you say you're going to work?" Like that really made me laugh. And then while she's trying to figure out and not fuss at him, she gonna ask him before you come out, "Can you get me a glaze?" I thought that was classic. Like that was my all-time favorite one. And then the Amazon commercial with that beautiful bad dog. Like I thought they were gonna put him in the crate, but they didn't. They got the crate because they got him a companion, which I think he needed for his separation anxiety, which was huge and beautiful. And you're gonna learn that I'm a huge animal dog lover. So those are my two all-time favorites, and I just think that that's what made my Super Bowl experience. I don't know about you, but I digress. So enough about me and my Super Bowl experience. Let's get on to the topic of, which I think is very important and relevant right now, athletes, football players, soccer players, hockey players, athletes in general. They face a unique mental health challenge. And I've got a lot of notes, so you bear with me. And I don't try to memorize my notes. So please provide me with some grace because I write notes and I read from them because I want to make sure that I touch on everything that I thought about when I was coming up with this topic. So they faced a lot of challenges due to the demanding nature of the sport, such as the physical aspect of their sports, right? And the high risk of injury. Some of their injuries can prematurely end their careers. And so, a lot of people encourage our children to go into these sports, but I'm a huge believer in having backup plans only because your gift is your temple. And a lot of these high performance sports, such as football, basketball, they can literally end somebody's career prematurely with the right hit, the right sprain, the right crack. And so that alone, with that risk of injury, can be a huge stressor for our athletes and contributes to some of their mental health disorders. And also, um, just the toll on their bodies that their bodies take and being able to show up healthy. So some of that can also contribute to their mental health, which just being an athlete in general requires a lot of mental fortitude. Like you've got to do a lot of mental work before you even get out there on your respective fields. Like I told you, I love tennis. And that's like a one man thing, right? There's really not a lot of teamwork in that, except for the team that the tennis player may hire to help them to perform at their peak. But can you imagine the mental fortitude that it takes? The mental fortitude when you're on those courts, having to talk to yourself and tell yourself, shake it off, get back out there. You're the best. You can do this. Don't worry about that. Let that go. You're going to be okay. That's a lot of mental fortitude. And if people don't know, that could be more fatiguing and tiring than actual physical demands of the sport. And so all of that plays a role, right, in the mental health of our athletes. So just think about that. Then there's the performance pressure due to increased public scrutiny, extreme competitiveness, overwhelming and high expectations from fans, the business side, coaches, teammates, and loved ones, especially a lot of our athletes are taking care of their loved ones financially. This can lead to extreme anxiety and or depression. Think about Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, Brian Phelps. Let's just pause for a moment. And then when I even said and thought about the social media scrutiny, I mean, we are so opinionated in these days about people in general when it comes to social media. And we stop to realize that these are still human beings, but they're operating in their gifts. And just because they're operating in their gifts, I don't know if we should be the ones being so opinionated about what their life is like and what they go through on a daily basis. I mean, we all go through stuff. And to be judged or to have to hear what people think about what we're doing on a daily basis, think about that. That could take a toll. That could take an extreme toll on someone's mental well being that we, who may not be in those positions or those spotlights, can take for granted. And so I just hope I gave you some food for thought about the social media scrutiny. And if I was the athletes, I'd really stay away from social media. I wouldn't even look at people's opinions about what it is you do so that you can go out there and do and be your best without worrying about what other people think. And so I'm going to mention social media again later on in my talk about this, but I hope that that resonates with you a little bit and gives you a little bit more empathy about how we share our opinions on, on a social media platform. And then the extreme competitiveness. Now, I think we all should have a little bit of competitiveness to us, but when you think about the contracts that a lot of these athletes are signing, that adds another pressure onto it, right? Because that's how they get paid. They get paid by how well they perform. And so, can you imagine the mental pressure that they feel trying to perform at a level that will honor their contract? I mean, and then again, our scrutiny about whether or not they should have gotten paid that much. They're not doing their job. They're disappointing us as fans. They're disappointing us as people who love the sport and come out there to support. And we want our particular team to win. We don't want them to lose. And so that pressure, I can't imagine. I can't. And so that too contributes to the mental health of our top performing athletes. I think one of the athletes who has done it the best, and he just recently retired, was Tom Brady. And just trust, I am not a huge Tom Brady fan, but I am a Tom Brady personal individual fan. Does that make difference? Like, I mean, I'm not a fan of any of the teams that he played for, but as an individual and his mind, body, soul regimen, like it's impressive. I mean, to be 45 at the top of your game for so many years, can you imagine the discipline that it took for him to get to that level? It's just not enough that we have gifts. We also have to contribute to those gifts by taking care of ourselves holistically to make sure that we're in position to honor those gifts properly. And so I just give him kudos for the work that I believe that he's done um, personally and in his individual life to make sure that he could show up as well as he did. And I really felt for him when he gave his final farewell on social media. I felt it. And I can't imagine what it's like to really love something as much as I believe he does and had to say goodbye to it or let go of it. I kind of personally wish that he had done it last year, so that he would have really went out on top. I'm sorry that he had to experience not going to a Super Bowl in order to make the final decision, which I'm not him. I'm not sure if that was all of it. But I was just hoping that he did it last year. But either way, I wish him the best. And so, with that being said, there's challenges and there's some great, great positives to being a top performing athlete that we all could benefit from. And I just wanted to share some of those things with us. But first, I wanted to share with you the signs that you can kind of look for and be sober about when it comes to sports and athletes. So, for the athlete, watch out for overtraining because sometimes I think that in your pursuit to be the best or to show up the best in your particular area, you may overtrain. And that too runs the risk of injury, but that can also do a lot of wear and tear on your body as well. Listen to your body. When it's had enough, stop. Also, burnout. You want to make sure that you don't experience burnout with something that you originally had a great passion for and loved. And then unrealistic goals or expectations. Like you have to really be able to identify and be specifics about your goals. And if it's realistic, you may be a rookie and the team you on may not be Super Bowl ready, but give yourself the grace and the patience, right? To stand your course and to know that the dream is still a possibility and a reality, but that it may not come as soon as you want it to. And that's okay too, to be patient and be realistic about what those goals and those dreams could look like for you, because I am sure that that's another toll that can play on someone or an athlete's mental health, on all of our mental health, when we don't have realistic expectations about our gifts. And then if we get into the clinical side of some of the signs, it could be if you're starting to have feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness and extreme sadness that lasts for more than 2 weeks, then those are signs that you may need to talk to someone like a professional, someone like me, someone like your primary care physician. Or if you don't have those options available to you, go to your coaches. Your coaches may know who those healthcare providers are that you should be talking to. Hopefully, you have a team of people who are ready to address any of the concerns, because it's not just your physical well-being that's important. Your mental health is just as important as the physical, if not more so. Then if you're noticing that you're not wanting to do your normal activities, that's a sign. So if it's really hard for you to wake up and get up in the mornings and to do simple things like to wash or brush your teeth or even make yourself a good meal, that's a sign. Um, Becoming more isolative and withdrawn from people and things, that's not good. You want to stay committed and you want to stay connected, is what I really need to say, to your community, to your village, to your tribe. If you're having increased or decreased appetite and or sleep, then that's something you need to look out for. If you're easily irritated or easily angered and frustrated, and you feel or you start snapping real quick or real bad on your loved ones and friends, that's a sign. If maybe you're indulging a little bit more than necessary with alcohol, wine, drugs, marijuana, that's a sign. And feeling that you're alone and that there's no one that you can possibly talk to, that's a lie. There are so many people out there who are ready and willing to talk to you about what you may be experiencing. And I need to let you know that you're not alone and that there are people out there who want to connect with you, want to help you, and want to see you through this temporary, and I'm saying it's temporary, this temporary little space and time for yourself. And so if you look at it as temporary and that you have help and support, this will help you to get over that hump. So I mentioned some signs, which indicate the challenges that athletes can kind of experience. But people can also contribute to the positiveness of what it's like to be an athlete, right? And their mental well-being. So some of the positives of being a top performing athlete is their healthy bodies and diet and nutrition. Like all those things also contributes to one's mental health and well-being. And that's something that we all need to consider. And I know a lot of people sometimes are like, every time I turn around, everybody's always saying diet and nutrition, but it really does matter and it really does make a difference. And so I want you to consider that because it's a holistic approach. We're multidimensional individuals. And so we need the whole thing We need our diet, our nutrition, our coping skills. We need our thick structure and routine, right? So that's also a positive. The structure and routine that athletes develop at a very young age, if they start at a young age, learning how to um, be good at what they do in their sport. Also, their teammate engagement and sense of community, that camaraderie that they develop from being a part of a team is huge in one's mental well-being. And to know it's not just about themselves, even if they're GOATs. Some of the best all-time players are those who believe in the team. I'm a big Stephen Curry fan. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I'm from. And he is huge on team. And so I love that about him. And so that is something that I think that athletes are really good at and that we all could benefit from. Then leadership skills and modeling, that is huge as an athlete. That's huge for us as well. We're all leaders in some capacity, regardless of what we do for a living. We all show up as leaders in some form or shape in our lives. And so those things are positives when it comes to athletes. And then confidence building around their gift. Like the fact that they train, the fact that they have structure and routine around their training helps them to be more confident. They don't take it for granted that they're good. They have to get out there, they have to train, they have to do the diet and nutrition. Those are things that we as regular people need to be doing as well for ourselves and our gifts, whatever that may be. So those are some positives. Let me help you take it up a notch when it comes to how we can be better as athletes and as people. Practicing mindfulness, intentionality, and daily gratitude. Those are things that we should be doing on a daily basis. Taking many breaks throughout the day. Get up, leave your seat, take a deep breath, go outside, get some real vitamin D. Okay. It's good. It gives your body a reset so you can come back to whatever you have to deal with throughout your day. And then limit your social media intake and news. I mean, I love the news. I'm a news addict, I would probably say, but I also know what it can do for me and my boundaries, my mental health boundaries. So I only take in the news first thing in the morning, and then that's it. Check my social media maybe once or twice a day, and then that's it. And so try to curb your social media and news intake. And then find things that bring you joy. What are those things that make you happy? Is it listening to your best artist? Is it taking a walk or a hike? Is it spending time cuddling with your animals and pets? What are those things that bring you joy? List those things and then try to find ways to incorporate them in your day because we need an arsenal of coping skills that will help us throughout our day. Learning how to cope, period. That's good for athletes and that's good for you and me. And then last but not least, you woke up this morning. And so just know that there's always an opportunity for you to start all over again, to do it all over again, and that you're okay. And so I hope that this segment helped everyone when it comes to high performing athletes, when it comes to ourselves as individuals, non-athletes alike. And again, I want to say kudos to one of the best Super Bowls of all time for various reasons, but both teams you could tell were hungry and they showed up and they did their best, right? And I saw that. I think the whole event from beginning to end was just top notch. And I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too. I'm sure. I know there's some people very disappointed because their team didn't win, but we got to give them kudos because they did come out and they did give their best. And so I guess the best did win. And that's okay. Keep your head up, stay focused, come back next year. And so I'm Felice Hightower Britt. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I hope you follow me and I hope you subscribe to Real Talk with Felice. And I'm going to leave you with this. Know that if you are truly doing and being your best, then that and you are enough. Be blessed.